Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to share with you 5 more things I think you should know about tonight's very significant full moon. Number 1, it's okay and quite normal and actually, believe it or not, beneficial to feel a little bit overwhelmed. The full moons can be tough. There's no getting around that because the full moons are like a spotlight of awareness around all of our misalignments, all the things we're doing, all the old feelings weighing us down, the old patterns, the old situations that no longer resonate. Full moons can cast a bright spotlight on many things, many misalignments within our life all at one time that we feel compelled to address. So it can feel kind of overwhelming, but that's the point. Full moons a lot of times are about it's an opportunity to take some notes. Not to feel like I gotta make all the changes right now, even though there's that urge. So right now there might be some insights you're having about some of your key relationships or your career or your living situation, or for a lot of us, our own patterns, our own behaviors, our own sort of conditioned ways of responding to life. And it might feel like I'm not gonna feel whole or at peace until all of the above is brought into harmony. And in a sense, that's honestly true. But the reality is these things, these changes, these healings, these transformations, they do take time. And the full moon does not have to be overwhelming. You can meet the full moon insights with gratitude. Because all the stuff you're becoming aware of, even though it might be uncomfortable and it might, have that sense of urgency, I gotta change it, all of it is gonna help you. All of it is stuff that we don't either need anymore, or it's sort of negatively impacting our life, or maybe there's a smarter way of going about things. All of it is very valuable information for the sole purpose of helping us go through life from this point forward more whole, more complete, and more free. Number 2 is gonna sound a little esoteric for you, but I do believe it's happening, and I'll be curious about your own thoughts on the matter. I wrote down karmic completion. You might find yourself reliving a strikingly, eerily similar scenario, dynamic type of life experience that you've gone through maybe multiple times already in your life. Maybe it's with a very similar type of person, a very similar relationship dynamic, a really similar circumstance. And what you might notice about this one is that it's something that maybe you didn't respond the way you would choose to now in the past. Meaning, you might not be happy with the way you rolled with whatever sort of circumstance is coming at you now in the past. That sounds so confusing. I'll give an example for myself. I've had this particular theme come up in my life. Basically, it's where I have this pattern of overgiving. Probably out of insecurity and unworthiness, what I do as this unhealthy pattern is I over-deliver. I overgive. I give too much in a relationship scenario. And then, inevitably, I've woken up to that fact, that imbalance, and felt like, I gotta correct this. I gotta stop sort of sacrificing myself and giving too much. But then, because I've over-delivered too much for too long, whenever I cut that off, the last 2 times anyway, the person has responded in a very strong way, with a very strong backlash coming towards me. And when that happened to me, because it was such an intense reaction, both times in the past for me, I would respond, more so react with that same type of fevered ego, anger type of energy. And unfortunately, and this is something I have to live with, 2 relationships from my past are pretty much gone because we had too much of a heated exchange and too much damage was done. And it saddens me. It's something that comes up, these people come into my mind quite a bit to this day. And I just really regret how things unfolded. And anyway, all that to be said, I found myself in a very similar situation like not that long ago, a couple weeks ago. And I found myself really like feeling like this is exactly like what happened before. I don't want the same outcome. But what I found, and what I guarantee you will find too, I called it karmic completion. Not perpetuating karmic lessons unconsciously. This is a time of completion. So like me, what I did is I learned from my mistakes. I learned that when someone is reacting at me, I can't react back. I have to take time. I have to get back into my heart so I can respond differently. Because I saw what can happen. I saw that relationships can be severed if you're not careful. It happened to me twice. Again, I'm not happy about that. But this time, because of my mistakes, I was able to participate in this exact karmic situation extremely differently, and resulting in a very different result. In fact, it resulted in tears, in a heartfelt moment, and a maintaining of like the relationship and the bond. And I feel so grateful. And it was just like a crazy moment of like, man, I did it. I learned the lesson, thank God. And now I can move on. So anyway, this is not just me wanting to share about my own life. This is a metaphor. And your situation could be it will be extremely unique to you. But what I want to impart to you is that you can use the mistakes of your past to make new choices in your present. And if you can do that, you might find yourself breaking whatever karmic pattern you've been sort of locked up into, maybe for your entire life. Number 3, self-worth work. Self-worth, at least according to a lot of spiritual teachers, the one that comes to mind is panache, is like the core wound of human beings. Panache, the spiritual teacher, he says that at some point early in childhood, everybody, for the most part, has an experience that causes their young, innocent little mind to conclude, oh, I'm not worthy. Oh, I'm less than. Oh, I'm not enough. And that wound haunts us. It looms over us, and it shapes the way we see the world. It shapes the way we show up in relationships. It shapes our entire life. We go through life with this fundamental, subconscious, deeply rooted belief that I am not enough. So then when we wake up spiritually and we try to create abundance and meet our soulmate and do all this cool stuff and find our purpose, it's like there's this weight, there's this part of us that's pushing away all the things we now want. As inspired and sincere as these desires are, I want to meet my soulmate, I want to have abundance, I want to be free. It's like there's a part of us that would rather reinforce what it believes to be true. So it's like we have one foot on the gas, one foot on the brakes, and it's like, and it makes it very difficult to make positive forward movement in our life. So that sometimes during these powerful alignments and just generally through our spiritual awakening, the theme of self-worth comes to the forefront. And the way that looks normally is that we find ourselves recognizing ourselves doing things from a perspective of someone who doesn't believe in themselves, from a perspective of someone who feels unworthy. But the difference is, and the difference you might find now if you relate to this, is that you catch it. It's no longer this unconscious pattern of like suffering, essentially. It's more like, why am I doing this? Why am I continuing to do this behavior or have this thought or have this belief or do this thing that is causing me suffering? It doesn't make sense. It's not who I am anymore. But there's certainly a momentum to it. For example, one of the things I used to do that was kind of a behavior originating out of my own lack of self-worth is I used to obsess about my YouTube stats. There's a website you can go to if you care to. It's called Social Blade. socialblade.com, and you can look at all the YouTubers, including yourself if you are one, and you can see exactly what's happening. I could watch minute by minute a subscriber come and a subscriber go. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And you know, with YouTube in general, there are waves of success. There are just like seasons of life. There are times where you get a lot of followers and then times where it kind of slows down. And I used to be obsessed with this, and I used to generate my worthiness or lack thereof based upon the inevitable fluctuations of YouTube. And I would drive myself freaking bananas. When things were great, when subscribers were coming in, I was on like a high. It wasn't even like a genuine self-worth. It was more like this dopamine, fueled like synthetic type of like high almost. But then, because I was so attached, when the subscribers stopped coming, I felt worthless. I felt worthless is the best way to put it. I felt like, just like I don't even want to be alive. Just miserable. And this insane roller coaster of up and down, up and down, up and down was being perpetuated by me checking the freaking website. And I haven't done that in quite a while. I've thankfully grown out of it. But recently I was in a very similar dynamic, you could say, where I found myself in that exact same type of up and down cycle. But this time it was very evident to me that this is not me anymore. I know better. I know I don't need this constant external validation to feel like I'm enough. I'm able to be my own judge and decide for myself. Was today a good day? Did you do your best? Great. If the world reflects that, fine. If not, that's fine too. So my point is, you might have your own little neurotic behavior. Maybe it's with your food intake and going to the gym. Maybe it could be literally with anything. What I'm saying is today in particular, because of the full moon and during this period, you might find yourself catching yourself in the act and realizing this is not smart. This is something I don't want to do. This is something I no longer need anymore, because you have already, like not in the future, like now already have generated enough genuine self-worth. Number 4, a scarcity purge. A lot of times during like intense full moons and astrological alignment, especially when we're dealing with themes of self-worth, a lot of us find that playing out in like with our bank account or our financial situation or our living situation. And you might find yourself like going into this kind of fight or flight state of being associated with you feeling safe in the world. And that's a very uncomfortable thing. I've dealt with that. People call it like the money blocks, financial blocks, abundance blocks. Now is a great time to really become aware of those as well. And they are very much connected to your self-worth. So if you find that life in some way is making you feel in some way unsafe, you might take a closer look and ask yourself, am I really unsafe? Or am I just feeling unsafe? And if you can kind of have that inner dialogue with yourself, you might find yourself breaking free of that unnecessary fight or flight mode of operation. And finally, number 5, the result of all of this, the Lion's Gate, the full moon, all the overwhelm, all the self-worth issue, all the different karmic completions, all of it is leading to one word and a very worthy result. And that, my friend, what is it? Can you guess it? I imagine, you ever see Braveheart, the movie Braveheart with Mel Gibson? Freedom! Freedom. Freedom from the unnecessary weight and gravity of the illusory beliefs that you're not enough. The illusory beliefs and maybe patterns that you gotta be afraid in your life. Freedom from the drama, freedom from the anxiety, freedom from the inner turmoil. And what is that gonna look like in your everyday life? Manifested outward? Who knows? And who cares? Because that feeling of real spaciousness, weightlessness, expansiveness, freedom, that's enough. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life, because that is our natural state. That is your natural state. Freedom. Not requiring any type of belief or circumstance or anything. Just a genuine feeling of, I am free. Why? Why am I free? Because I exist. because I can finally tap into the truth of what I am, what you are, what we are, which are eternal souls playing in this sometimes, albeit wild, earth scenario. We are free. You are free. And I'm not saying just believe me. I'm saying feel within your own heart. Feel within your own energy field. You might find that you're able to experience freedom at a much more vast and lasting degree. But to get to that place, we have to stop doing things and thinking thoughts and feeling feelings that are in complete contradiction to our natural state. And this dreaded, overwhelming, crazy full moon, it's showing us exactly where we need that work. It's like, here's where you're feeling unworthy. Here's where you're feeling unsafe. Here's a karmic pattern you've got to wrap up. It's like, it's helping us. It's helping you. It's helping us break free more. And then where we go from here, it's like, it's going to be good, because when you're in this state of connectedness, of faith, of freedom, life is smoother. Life is more flowy, more synchronistic. We recognize the abundance we already have, the blessings that are already there staring at us right in the face, which we sometimes can't see when we're so preoccupied with our unworthiness or whatever issues that we're working through. It's like once we can finally let go of that, we can really be ourselves and let loose and party and have a good time.